So his legacy, how do you think it lives on today in baseball?
You know, in some ways, I think there's been a little bit of a resurgence in understanding in recent years of what Robinson did and what he went through. There is specifically the Jackie Robinson Foundation, which Jackie's widow, Rachel, started 50 years ago, that impacts, sends kids to college, that mentors them throughout, gives them scholarships. That's an incredibly important foundation, which on the ground level is impacting lives every day. There's no way to get around that. And I think that he also, just the knowledge of what he represented. Like you look today out in Los Angeles where you are, Dave Roberts is taking the team out to gather near the Jackie Robinson statue at Dodger Stadium, as he did last year, to just talk about, sometimes, and I've had guys say this to me, you read about what Jackie went through, and suddenly the fact that I went 0 for 4 doesn't seem so serious in a way. And I think people are understanding the kind of pressure and the kind of sort of demands that he had to absorb and go through to be the player that he became.
What would he think, do you think, Jackie, of the state of baseball today? What do you think?
He was sort of generally optimistic, so I think he would be okay with it. I think he probably he was always sort of an advocate for getting representation, African American and people of color into managerial ranks and into the front office. In terms of the state of play, he was not a guy who ever held out for a contract. He was not a guy who, got into like rules dissection and stuff like that. I think he'd embrace the game and embrace the opportunity that he had to be in it.
What do you think he'd think of Colin Kaepernick? What's going on in the NFL? What do you think?
I think he would absolutely 100% support Colin Kaepernick's right to do what he wanted to do. I do think that, Jackie, who was very close with Dr. King and worked with Martin Luther King in his retirement, in Jackie's retirement on many civil rights issues. They were in D.C. together. They helped repair burned churches in Georgia together. He was very active. But he also broke with Dr. King on Vietnam. Jackie was very pro-American government, pro-military, even though Jackie himself had some discrimination in the Army. So I don't know if Jackie would have been on board with, like, defund the police, that kind of stuff. He was really respectful of authority through all he did. But, of course, he would have supported somebody speaking up and expressing themselves and their views. That was really what he was all about.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.